Society differentiates among groups of people in a number of ways, and race is one of the most common. But what exactly is race? Many people still see race as a biological category, namely a group of people with physically distinct characteristics. The sociological view is that race is a social construction, meaning a group is defined by how it is perceived, and then how the group is labeled and treated culturally, politically, and economically based on that perception. And because it is a social construction, race is not a fixed, static attribute. In fact, racial categories change over time and place, and the external physical traits used to categorize different racial groups, most commonly skin color, are pretty arbitrary. Genetic differences within a so-called racial group are just as diverse as genetic differences between groups. For example, looking at the U.S. Census in 1910 shows us, in regards to race, the U.S. government listed two types of Asian people, Chinese and Japanese. And 100 years later, the 2010 census identified 4 more physically and socio-politically diverse groups, with an option to indicate an other type as well. In 2020, Hispanics may move from having the option to select a Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish ethnicity in the census to having the option to define themselves racially instead. What impact does this expanded labeling have on a society? On the one hand, it may serve the purpose of celebrating diversity. On the other, people in racial minority groups have often faced constraints based on their perceived race that limit their access to vital resources such as jobs, housing, education, and healthcare. So the biological myth of race can result in some very real social disparities. In the last 2 U.S. censuses, people may now identify with multiple racial groups, checking off more than one box. While the trend toward multiracial identification is growing, few people have chosen to do so thus far. And although the concept of race is becoming increasingly blurred and will continue to do so, many people continue to be treated according to the racial group in which others see them. And that means the perception of race is not only a social construction, but a social reality.